even as a little girl, for as long as I can remember, I have always had this passion to elevate others, right? I've always seen my life as a template, as a platform for others to learn from. So even before I got here, in everything I do, I find myself teaching, trying to inspire others, trying to share my knowledge, one way or the other, just making sure that, someone out there is being impacted by what I'm doing, right? So, but over time, I realized that I'm tilted more to the female folk, right? Not anything gender-based, whatever, but just, there. I just felt like I have a calling there, right? And even there were times when I tried to mix it, like do the male and female thing, but I just realized that it's always tilted to the female folk. And I've always been this person that craved attention, right? Craved attention. And I realized that at some point it became quite unhealthy for me. Well, thank God for Jesus who has saved me, right? So then he made it quite clear to me that yes, in as much as he wants me to be out there, but there's a reason for that. And that's because he wants me to raise bold and loud women. Now, there are women out there. We have women. Women are amazing. We have powers that are like way beyond comprehension. And we just need to get to the point where we get really confident with who we are and what we have, right? So I realized that a lot of women are that awesome, but they are not able to properly articulate who they are or put themselves out there. So I just, it just hit that, okay, this is it for me. So my life is going to be solely based or focused on raising as much women as possible to be bold and loud about who they are. So
I love it.
It's been a great journey
beautiful.
so far.
Let's start the conversation.
Okay, I love it so much. And listening to you use the word bold and loud is just screaming in my head, bold and loud. So let's start with, what are the elements that, a woman that wants to be bold and loud should have? Or what do you think, what are those essential elements women should have for them to be bold and loud? Let's start with that.
Okay, so in my journey so far, one thing I've realized is that mindset is there's a kind of mindset you have that can kill practically anything that you have, right? No matter how bright your light is, if you have the wrong mindset about anything that you're doing or who you are, it just kills everything. So for me, the very first thing is mindset. Have the right mindset. It's what helps you to bloom. It's what helps you to grow. It's what helps you to shine. So if as a woman, you are tied down by this mindset of, I don't think I'm meant for this, or I'm not enough, or the society does not want me to be this, so I'd rather just, kill my light, dim my light, just be here, then you are not going anywhere. You are just going to be a bunch of awesomeness, but no one is seeing your awesomeness. No one is taking from it. No one is, no one is being impacted by all that power that you have. I have come across so many women, and when they are talking, I'm like, wow, you are capable of this.
Right.
And yes, but why aren't you out there? I'm not saying become a celebrity or influencer, but come on. Your experiences, your story, your life is practically what someone out there needs to hear about, needs to see in order to move forward, right? But then you're not saying anything. You're just silent. And when you ask, what's the problem? Oh, it's always a limiting mindset. It's that mindset of, I don't think I'm enough, or what do I even know? Meanwhile, you know so much. You don't need to be a professor in Harvard University or some Cambridge University, but you know that you know. Your story of overcoming is something that someone out there needs to hear in order to take the next step. Right? So mindset is, that limiting belief. Mindset is very key in order for you to step into your bold and loud era. It is a powerful element. Once you can get your mindset right, it's easy for you to be able to step into your bold and loud era. Without that element of having the right growth or positive mindset, you're going nowhere. It's just there.
I love the fact that you talked about mindset. To be honest, mindset is what is killing most of us.
Truly.
From our inside, we already have low self-esteem about certain things about us. Now, that's not we are going to talk about this topic without mentioning the names of Oprah Winfrey and all of those elegant women like Claire Baldwin, Mel Robinson, Jasmine Star, and all of them. These people have taken their time to, they take personal branding very seriously. They build themselves. I mean, there's not you mention Oprah, for example, and you will not remember, a hosting, a TV experience, and all of these things. How do you think all of these women were able to pull this thing off? What stood out for them? Then what special skill of them is what emulating? Like a random girl in secondary school or a grown girl that just finished NYC or that just graduated from university can pick and learn and take good use of.
One thing that you know binds these great women together. One thing that I would advise anyone to pick from them is a sense of purpose. A sense of purpose, right? You know, when you know your purpose, when you know what you carry, when you know what your message is, when you know the foundation upon which your life is based, it's beyond money. It's beyond having certificates and all of that. There's just that thing that you always fall back to when every other thing, even no matter what is going on, you just find out that, you know, this is your message. When you have a sense of purpose and you are intentional about actually pursuing your purpose, then you are out there. Or you can, for me, that is what I call a bold woman, right? As a woman who is watching this right now, and you're thinking, okay, how do I move? One thing is have a sense of purpose. So if you haven't actually thought about your purpose, then you need to do that. If you haven't come to the point where you're asking yourself, what exactly am I here on earth for? What exactly am I here for? Am I just here to get married, have kids, pop babies here and there, and cook for my husband, and that's it? Am I here to just, you know, go to school, attain the highest level of education, get all the certifications, work in the best companies ever, you know, earn the highest salary? Is that just it? Or is there something else? Because for me, I don't think that God went through all the stress of creating the world just so that you can, you know, get married and have kids, or just so that you can have certificates and work in one big company. No, there is so much more to you as a person. And everything beyond that is what I call purpose, right? So you find out that it's not about just having money. It's not about just having a bunch of followers online. It's not about, it's not about just getting married and having kids as a woman, but your life is so much more than that. There is something else, something in it, something more meaningful. So that even if you don't get married, you still realize that you have a purpose, right?
Yes,
you are fully fulfilled,
yes.
and that is purpose for you. So while a lot of women think that a purposeful woman is the one who is, you know, settled in a man's house, you know, cooking, bearing kids, and that makes you a purposeful woman. No, because there are lots of women who have done that, and yet go check their lives, nothing, right? So also we have women in the Bible who the Bible didn't mention about them getting married or having kids yet. They did well, right? Yeah. So that is very that in as much as these things are good, it's good to have them. I do not say you shouldn't. I'm married myself. I have kids myself. So amazing. But here, in fact, marriage made me realize that actually it's not just the marriage thing. It's not just having kids. It's about knowing your message. It's about knowing the real reason why you're here and actually putting out that message. So to any woman out there, you know, looking to get started, the first thing is to have a sense of purpose. Once you have that, you know, that purpose begins to fill your mind, right? It begins to make you want to actually pursue more. That is going bold.
All right, I love it. So let's talk a bit about the common, you know, mistakes or the common pitfalls, you know, women encounter when they are trying to establish their brand. And this is just speaking to the topic itself when we're talking about building bold personal brands for females. So let's talk about those pitfalls, because, I mean, it's one thing to call all of these wonderful women that you've called and you said, oh, you should have good sense of, you know, purpose and all of these things. Now, for women that are just starting, what way are they to follow, right? What are those, where's that ladder exactly that they should start climbing on in order for them not to make certain mistakes that will take them out of, you know, the journey to find their purpose and all of that?
Okay, so like I already mentioned, having a sense of purpose. So once you have a sense of purpose, it begins to lay the foundation for every other step that you're going to take, right? So once you have a sense of purpose, you understand maybe, okay, so this is the message that I want to share, or it creates that self-awareness, right? So then you become aware of your story. You become aware of your experiences. You become aware of your qualifications. You become aware of things about you. Then you begin to ask yourself, now, in all of these things, where exactly is where I call it meat. What is the meat of these things that I am and these things that I have? At the end of the day, what is that thing that people say most about me? Like, what's that thing they say about me? Do they say I inspire? Do they say there has to be one thing that people, one common thing that people, when they say, like, this is you, or this is one thing I know about you, it gives you an idea of, where to start from, even if it's not like the main thing, but it gives you an idea of where to start from. Then another thing you want to put in mind is authenticity, right? A lot of people, like a lot of women, when they get out there on the online space, especially, they begin to see this, see that, and then they are driven off focus, and then the pressure to want to be like others or belong here. I speak from experience. Like for a very long time, I just kept moving from one person, like I kept moving from one profile to another because, getting online, I realized that, wow, this is a whole new world, right? And there are people here, people who have gone, farther than you. And you have there's this pressure to just quickly meet up, right? So I kept moving from one profile to another like that until eventually I was like, you know what, I'm done. I need to find myself and I need to be me, right? So being authentic is very key to building that brand. When you begin to try to compare yourself to others or be like others, you lose that authenticity. You lose it entirely, and then you find out that you are positioning yourself as someone who you really are not at the end of the day. Then another thing you want to do is have clarity as to who your target audiences are, what your message is as well. Because if you do not have an idea of who your target audiences are, you'll find yourself trying to speak to everybody and at the end of the day speaking to no one, right? So you want to make sure that you know your target audience. You want to also make sure that you know the message that you're putting out to them, right? When you know your target audience, you know your message, you also know the kind of tone you want to go, the language you want to speak, and all of that as well. Then another mistake or another pitfall is, the idea of trying to be on all social media platforms at the same time. You really don't want to do that to yourself, except maybe you have the money to get a team together, because Instagram is not the same as Facebook, and Facebook is not the same as TikTok. There are different strategies that work, and there are different target audience segments in there as well. So, and there are, so the thing is, find, maybe one or two platforms where your target audiences are, mostly are, and then build there. Build there first. Then as time goes on, you can begin to expand. So what I did personally was I tried to make sure that at least I have my username on every major social media platform.
Right.
That's what I do. Then my favorite, or rather my major social media where I'm active right now is LinkedIn and Instagram. Right. So I even tried to add YouTube this year, but it was not YouTube indeed. It was just too much work for me. So I had to just focus on Instagram and LinkedIn. In fact, LinkedIn, I'm still trying to get used to LinkedIn. So I'm mostly an Instagram person, you get. So I realized that having a focus, just start from somewhere. Don't make the mistake of trying to be everywhere at the same time. You'll burn out, you'll run out of fuel, you'll be overwhelmed, and you'll confuse your audience too as well. And it's not easy. Besides, there's a lot of, you have to think about data, you have to think about time to create content and all of those things. So
each content to fit each
it has to fit in. For example, Instagram favors carousel, but LinkedIn doesn't, right? So when you're posting a carousel on Instagram, you have to convert it to a long text in order to post on LinkedIn. So that's another thing. Then YouTube, thankfully, every social media platform now favors videos, but still, there's still a lot of differences between them. So find maybe one or two social media platforms and focus there, and then you can grow, right? So these are just some of the pitfalls. There's a lot of them, but yeah, we can start with
it. I'll say a very big thank you to you for mentioning and listing out all of these things. It literally feels like we're in a She Can conference or we're in the Empowering Women conference. The way I'm enjoying this conversation, the way I'm learning and tapping from my words of knowledge, I hope you, our viewers, too, are learning from this thing. This is not a female thing alone. It applies to both genders.
Exactly.
As a male, too, you also need purpose. You also need clarity. You need to find your focus. You don't need to be everywhere every time. You burn out easily. We need to take a break. I need to digest all of this state. When we return, we'll come back to continue the conversation. Please be on standby.
Another is here. God's agenda for 2024 is wisdom. Wisdom is the principal thing that makes things work. Everybody needs the oil of wisdom. The challenges are changing dimensions. So the wisdom to deal with them must keep changing dimensions. It's time to get wiser.
God terminated 8 years barrenness in this exalted altar.
I get back to the set of twin baby boys at 50 years after 17 and a half years.
Lord, I need the baptism of this ever-winning wisdom. Shiloh 2024 is December 10 to 15. Thank you, Jesus. Amen.
Glad to have you back from that break. This is still West Breakfast, and we are still having the conversation. Building bold brands, I take that again, building bold personal brands for females. I was still speaking with Victoria Ogbujah, who is a personal branding, mindset, and purpose coach. Before we went to another break, she explained to us the pitfalls, what to do and what not to do. Now, right now, I'd like to talk about there's no advantage without a disadvantage. I'd like to talk about the disadvantage of being a career person. The likes of Ogbujah, the likes of Michelle Obama, the likes of Oprah Winfrey, all of these people did not start from being who they are today. They climbed the ladder one step at a time. If I want to be loud and bold about my brand, which is our mantra, be bold and loud,
yes,
where do I start from? And what are the challenges, honest challenges that comes to building a brand? Because as a female, the society do not actually favor you. The workspace sector, the business sector, they actually do not, the real sense. I mean, I can be a female, what to do, I'm 30, and everybody's expecting me to have a ring on my finger. They feel like that crowns my entire success. So what are those challenges? Real life challenges, not the ones we read in book. Fine, I know our realities are quite different, but what are those real life challenges that every bold and loud woman would definitely or might definitely face?
Well, you just mentioned one of them, which is the fact that society doesn't really favor women to be in bold and loud places. To be very honest, right? So society expects women to just stay calm, conform to just doing the bare, I call it bare minimum, right? Just don't do too much, right? Just be quiet, that kind of stuff. So society doesn't really favor women to be bold and to be loud, right? So that is one of the challenges that women face, right? Bold and loud women, or rather women who are trying to be bold and loud, that's one of the challenges they face. So for those who are not strong-minded, those who don't have strong mindsets tend to fall into that, what society expects of them, and before you know it, they just fizzle out, right? Another challenge that they face is, for example, this is coming from personal experience, and I'm sure other women do experience it, is, being a mom, being a wife, and, trying to build a career at the same time, right? It's not an easy thing. Like, I just put to bed, about a month ago. So she's a month old now, right? And a few minutes before I actually went into the labor room, I was working on content for the next week. Like, I was working on, trying to make sure that, I have my content scheduled so that period of, coming out of, I have something going online while I'm taking care of my baby, right? So you can imagine, going through the first or the second stages of labor and working on content. That was crazy, right? And that is because, for me, what I'm doing is beyond, I know that what I'm doing is beyond me. It is something that is divine as far as I'm concerned. So I find myself having to, show up regardless, right? And sometimes I'm in the kitchen, preparing, and in my head I'm thinking of, okay, while I'm cooking, I'm thinking of, all right, this is tomorrow's content, this is, that sort of thing. And then while I'm doing that, I have a toddler who is, dragging me down, wanting attention. And when I wake up in the morning, I'm thinking, I'm running school runs, and then by the time I get back, I have to, sit back to attend to clients. clients that I coach,
Yeah.
right? And then I'm watching the time to make sure that before husband comes home, food is ready, and all of it. So it's not easy doing
That's
all
a
of
lot.
that at
Can
the same,
imagine.
at the same time.
No, I feel so exhausted on your behalf.
No. It is, but that's the thing. That's why I said have a sense of purpose, right? So when you actually have a sense of purpose, and when you know that this is something that you are capable of doing, it helps you to reset your mindset in such a way that your body, brain, everything aligns eventually. And when you know that this is not just, something, you didn't just drop from the sky.
Right.
Like I said, I'm a Jesus babe, right? And I believe that God didn't just create us to just to add to what population. Everybody has a purpose, right? So, and He has equipped you with everything that you need to actually, achieve or do that thing that He wants you to do. So when you have a sense of purpose, despite everything or anything that comes your way, you find a way to, be able to balance and all of that. So that's, being, navigating career and being a wife and a mom is also, quite a challenging thing as well. Then also we have the issue of finances because, you need money to build a brand. Yes. It's not easy. It's not free. Yeah. So you may probably have to take new courses. You have to run adverts online, and the way Instagram is billing us now to run adverts is crazy.
It's crazy,
It's crazy. So you have to, consider the financial factor as well. That is, that's one of the challenges as well, right? But then proper planning and budgeting can actually help in that area. And then, hiring the right people to work with you, right? I have, on so many occasions, I've worked with teams, and I can tell you that I don't know if there's any other word better than or higher than traumatized because it's crazy, right? So trying to find the right persons that actually understand what you're trying to do. Yeah. Like it's crazy when you're working with someone and the person is way behind you, and it's like you're trying to get the person to see what you're seeing, so that the person is not seeing it, right? So this time I'm like going into 2025. I've started praying already. God, please lead me to the right persons that I'm going to work with, because I need people that will understand what I'm trying to build and actually be able to handle it for me. With you. Yeah, and build with me, you get. So that's another thing. Then, of course, that building a brand, and doing career are also, in as much as they sort of connect, but they're two different things as well. Right? You can actually have a career without actually having an intentional personal brand. Those are for the people who just, do the whole 9-to-5 thing, just go to work and their salary and they're okay. Good for you, right? Good for you. But there are those of us like, people like us who are like, we don't just want to settle, for the, career path. We want to have a career that goes global. We want to have a career that makes impact, not just, earning salary at the end of the month, but I want to be able to make impact through my career and all of that. So you have people, going out there to intentionally position themselves for the opportunities or for the impact, right? So sometimes for example, I have a lady who works a 9-to-5, right? Does a 9-to-5. She's doing very well. She's quite good in her, stuff like that. But, doing that and at the same time, building a brand online sometimes quite not so easy because she has to create content and she still has to be at work, then she comes back home late, and even her weekends are taken. So she tries to find a balance between building the brand online and doing her actual career work and all of that. So that's another challenge that women face. But again, I say with proper planning, these things, they can be handled. They are not beyond they're not beyond being done.
Okay, so let's talk a bit about social media branding, and because that's how you start, right? You get your stuff ready, and you're like, okay, you know what? For people to see this, for me to impact life. Everybody's on social media now, so it's not like back then where you probably have to go to a studio and there's gigs and you have to go start selling it and all of those things. Social media just helps you make it easy. Perfect. Now, I'd like to hear your own personal story on how you're able to get, first of all, know your audience, your target audience, know the kind of content to create and all of that. Given that, if you check the social media space right now, there are a lot of challenges, there are a lot of, let's even start with this. I'm very sure you know Vicky James. And you see how she's been dragged for. Until just focus on you doing your designing and whatever.
Design stuff,
only you want chef, only you want content creator, only you want relationship, this one. Only, do you understand?
Expert and coach.
And they tell you, I think now she has added hosting to it. She has added also giving relationship tips. Until when you marry, where they give tips. That's what people people say a lot. So somehow people feel like she's already, living her real purpose of coming on social media or why she's known and going to do other stuff. But again, I see it as probably her own way of staying relevant and still being impactful. So I want you to put us on. Now, women that are on social media, how do they find their audience? What kind of content do they create? But just like I said, you see some people enter some kind of challenges and you're like, okay, this is not what you're supposed to be doing. And I think that's something that an Aproko doctor have actually learned properly. Regardless of the challenge, himself go join the challenge, but again, that challenge, whatever that he's going to say, it's things that will still be impactful. You understand? I mean, it goes hand in hand with what he's already known for. But some people are still not getting it right. So I'd like you to put us on that.
Let me talk about that Vicky James part, right? Now, Vicky James can do practically anything she wants to do right now because she has the publicity, she has the visibility.
Audience.
She has the audience. She has publicity. She has a team. She has money. And she can fund, anything she wants to fund. And she has she has a ready audience waiting to consume whatever it is that she's putting out there.
Right.
Now, that is not something I'm going to advise an upcomer to do.
That's the problem.
Okay. If you go into that, you're going to die out. You're going to die fast. That's the fastest way to die. Right. So that's the fastest way to just kill yourself, trying to put everything out. Now, we have multi-passionate people out there. I am multi-passionate. Lord knows that the things I do, if I begin to list them, I don't think writing on this table is not enough to write them. Do you get right? So, so in case you're that kind of person who is passionate in practically multiple things, and you're wondering, so am I just going to just pick only one and just focus on it? Is that what you're saying? No, that's not what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is that for a start, just start with something. Don't go all out there and, I'm this, I'm that. Today you're talking about this, tomorrow you're going to confuse yourself, confuse your audience. In fact, you even confuse the social media algorithm. You confuse the AI, the robots that is trying to help your account. You confuse everybody at the end of the day. So don't make that mistake of, trying to be Vicky James. Vicky James already has her audience, and Vicky James can afford to do whatever it is she's doing right now without much repercussions or consequences in terms of the negative, right? But for you who is starting out, it's very important that you pick one or two from that pool of passions that you have and start with that. Grow an audience with that. And then, if you are now looking to expand, take your audience on a journey. Because they already they now know you. At least they can trust you in some certain areas, right? So when you come out and say, oh, by the way, this is also on that side of me. They can easily take in because they have already known you for a while, right? And they can trust whatever it is you bring out in that area. On social media, we have what we call the KLT factor, which is the know, like, trust. People have to know you first, right? Then like you, then trust you. That's how it goes. So that's a journey. So you take your audience on that journey first to when you get to the trust part, trust me, you can now begin to
do anything.
And already. And then also, it's also very important to ask yourself, again, what exactly is it that you want to be known for? It's very, very key because you want to make sure that at the end of the day, you're not just everywhere and anywhere and nowhere at the same time. Right? So it's, for me, I studied mass communication in school. I once did radio and TV presenting myself, but my personal brand is not centered around my career or rather my academic qualifications, right? It's not centered around what I studied in school. So if I didn't tell you that I studied this or I was once a this or that, you wouldn't know because right now my brand is solely focused on coaching women. You get. So I decided that I didn't want to grow a brand in that area. This is where I believe my purpose is tied, or this is where I believe I'm tilting towards. So I just want to be here. And over time, I have been able to just stick to this, to
doing
this
it
place.
excellently.
So it's the thing. So you also need to ask yourself, where do I really want to be seen, to be known, and all of that, and then give yourself time. Coming online, there's a lot going on. Give yourself time. give yourself that grace to just grow. Because if you don't give yourself time and you're expecting things to just happen fast, the joke is on you. Because you can't, it's not going to work out that way. The great people you see out there, Oprah Winfrey, if she tells you her story of how she started, you will know that there were some times in her life where she thought she would never ever make it, right? But then she did, right? So give yourself time, right? And it's very, very important that you also acknowledge the fact that rest is key too. So some people get online and then they have this form of fear of missing out, right? So they don't go on rest. They don't rest. They don't do they don't even care about themselves.
On every trend
they just jump on every trend. They want to post content like 5 times a day. You know, they want to get the clients now. They want to attend to every client now. They want to. No. You don't do that to yourself. Take it easy on yourself.
I'm sorry to cut your train of thought there because we really have to go. So I need to ask you the final question. I need you to answer in less than a minute or so. But first, we have a couple comments from your fans out there. This one is coming from Adiola. She said, well done, sis. Laura Okocha is saying, A with the fire first. It means you're spilling fire. Then we have Ijoma Leona saying, bold coach Victoria. Then fire. Thank you. Oh, thank you very much. I mean, I'd like to ask us on a final note. We've been talking about personal branding. We've forgotten that we need social media to leverage on this personal branding. And if there's one thing that social media is known for right now is negative feedback, controversies, and trolls. You never can tell which of your posts will go viral. A lady came out recently to say, control the crowd. She didn't say crowd, she said cow. And they've been dragging on non-stop. I mean, the comment section has been brutal.
Really?
Very, very brutal.
Wow.
So how do you advise women, or let's generalize now, both genders, to stay and to stand strong when controversies or trolls come on the way to they building a personal brand? Please, in like 1 minute or so.
Okay. So the very first thing I'm going to say is you need to, first of all, acknowledge and accept the fact that controversies will come, especially as you grow your audience. People are getting to know you're being seen out there.
Yeah.
People have opinions, and you cannot control what they think about you. Like the entirety of it, you can't. So accept that fact, right? And then when these things eventually come, please don't take it so personal to the point where you break down or begin to bleed on them, like in terms of pouring out in anger and all of